Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the Sacred Division. And now, here is your host, Bishop James Long.
Well, all right, everybody, welcome to the Sacred Division right here on this fantastic February the 12th. February the 12th. It is already almost, by the way, for those of you who are out there, it's almost Lover Day. February the 14th, when you kissy suck face. And I don't, hopefully, Bishop Long won't be kissing. Oh, what is this? Mr. Producer.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, okay.
Jesus, hallelujah.
We know it's Miss Wilma's intro. All right. All right, everybody. Yes, you heard me correct. Miss Wilma is with us, as you just heard her entrance. Hello, Miss Wilma.
Everybody, how's everybody doing out there? I'm doing great. Oh, my shoulder's still hurting me. But early, I got to tell you this.
Oh, boy.
James and I was talking earlier,
Yeah.
and he was working on some stuff. So I was just sitting here counting down, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I thought, wait a minute. Why am I counting down? I'm not on a rocket. Which I'm thankful that I don't, because I would never get on a rocket going to that space. But I thought that was so funny. So if you thought that was funny, please let Bishop Long know, because he didn't think that was funny. But I did. I was just sitting here counting down, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not on a rocket. And I thought, that's a good joke. Right,
Oh.
folks? Tell everybody how you like it.
Okay.
How you doing, Bishop Long?
Well, I was fine. I was absolutely really great about 5 minutes ago. But that changed some. I wonder why that changed.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, that joke was really, really bad, by the way. I mean, really, really bad. That was, and why were you counting down?
Because earlier you was working on your project, and
Right.
you was trying to get your radio to go, and you said, Wilma, say something. And I started counting down, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And then when I did that, I'm like, that's a great joke. Has anybody wrote in yet to say they liked it?
No one has wrote in yet, but I'm sure that
Aw.
I'm sure that they will.
Well, I thought it,
Oh,
that
boy.
is medicine. Laughter is the best medicine. That's why I love
True.
jokes. That's why I love clowning around. But it don't help the pain. My shoulder's still hurting pretty bad today. But they always say laughter is the best medicine. So I tried to do that. And if I make your day, that makes me feel good too. Which sometimes you don't like my jokes. That kind of hurts my feelings, but that's okay.
Okay. Well, I'm really very glad that you expressed all that.
You're welcome. Hey,
Oh,
what
yeah.
did the left eye say to the right eye?
What did the left eye say to the right eye?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Between me and you, something smells. Get it? Smells, see the nose is between them. And that's a
Too soon.
It is true. I mean, the nose is right between the left and right eye, but they have to smell it. Can you imagine smelling your nose 24/7? 24/7.
Where do you get where?
Seriously.
Okay, where do you get these jokes? Because they are honestly the worst.
Some of them out of my head.
And I can tell, and I can absolutely tell. Yep, 100%. Because I know these jokes that you have are just I don't know. Oh, Diane, please don't laugh at her jokes. Please don't, because
What's she saying?
she's laughing at your joke.
Thank you, sweetheart. See, if I make someone laugh, that makes me feel good that I made their day.
Well, that's and I agree.
I try to make your day.
You trying to make my day?
Yours and everyone's.
Oh, well, okay.
But so far it hasn't worked with that.
I wonder why it hasn't worked. Your jokes are really
you
rough.
Remember that joke
Oh,
when we were going in the car, and I just happened to look up and I saw the clouds rolling, and I stopped, and I asked you, hey, what's one cloud say to another? And you're like, oh no, not another joke. And then I'm like, one cloud said to another, let's row together. See the wind takes them off rolling. Well, they don't actually row, though. They blow. They're blowing together. Well, that don't sound good, blowing together. But they're moving together. You go.
Oh, my God. Oh, you know,
rolling.
I'm going to get some aspirin here. Hold on one second. Let me get some aspirin for this. I've got to open this bottle. Excuse me, everybody. I'm sorry. I've got to get this aspirin. Okay. Let me pour me another drink. Okay.
Make sure you drink plenty of water with that aspirin.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. So I have got my aspirin, and we're ready. Yeah, she is. Miss Wilma is sassy. Because when she gets a going, get out of her way. Because...
Hey, Bishop Long. Why do they always tell actors to break a leg? Like they always say, break a leg. Why do they always say that?
I know somehow, this is going to be a really, really bad joke. So go ahead and tell me.
How rude. Okay. What is because every play they has a cast? Get it?
Yeah.
They don't know why they always say who break a leg. Because every actor has a cast.
Oh.
That is pretty cool.
You know, somewhere on this earth, it is definitely time to just go back to bed. And days like
well, that's kind of rude.
on days like this, it is definitely time to go back to bed.
Okay, I want to get serious now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was watching the TV today, as I always do, and they were saying that some children, this bus was in Ohio, and it crashed. The bus turned over and over. Well, the children were turning upside down. They was going through windows. They were trying to climb through the windows.
Yeah.
Said 8 was injured, including the driver. Thank God nobody didn't get killed. And now they're talking about seatbelts in the school bus, which I have always say that they have them in cars. The bus is more important because that's our children's safety. Well, they're like, well, it would be all right, but it's $4,000 for each bus to put these seatbelts in. Okay, I get $4,000, but what is their life worth $4,000? I mean, if they get sued, it's going to be more than for if they get, all the parents are suing them. But they're putting the children's life, the cost of life that they need to protect all the children. So I think, yes, they do need to put these seatbelts in buses. Only 8 states have them. And now it takes a tragedy accident like this to say, well, do we really need seatbelts? Yes. That's like, oh, well, I won't fix the bridge till it breaks down. When the bridge breaks down, oh, yeah, we need to fix it. Well, let's get some people hurt or maybe killed before they fix the bridge, you know?
You know, there's a lot.
This is crazy. These are all children's lives are in danger when they get on this bus, and it's like, really seriously, put some seatbelts in there. The bus driver has seatbelts.
Okay, now would be a good time to breathe.
I breathe.
You are in rare form. I agree with you, though. I do, because it doesn't make sense why, we require seatbelts by law. I mean, if you don't wear seatbelts while you're driving down the road, you can get pulled over by the police. And many people are pulled over by the police if you're not wearing your seatbelt. And it doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to require people who are in their own car by law, if you're going to require them to wear seatbelts, then you should do the same for children on the bus. It is the most absurd. It really does come down to money. And that's what it is.
Yeah. I know it's expensive, $4,000 for each bus, but when they get sued, it's way more than $4,000 for each child.
You're right.
But they're putting the children's lives in danger each day. But can you imagine? I know the children were safe, and I'm thankful, good Lord, for that nobody got hurt, even the driver. But those little things has to go through life thinking, oh my gosh, what I went through. I had to crawl through a broken window to get out, because the bus was literally upside down. And these children had to crawl through windows to get out. And it had the video of them. I mean, they were falling on each other. They was jumping, they thrown from their seats, and just tossed every which way. But those poor children has to go through this now, through their entire life. If that had been me, I'd been terrified to get on the bus again.
I saw the video, actually, on the World News as well. And, Wilma, you're right. I mean, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I think anybody who has common sense would say, yeah, we need to have seatbelts on the bus for kids. It really does not make any sense. It's kind of silly. So I think absolutely we're in agreement. I do want to jump into yesterday, and I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this today, but yesterday was a very important day for the political world. And that's mainly because, as you know or may not know, if you've not paid attention to the world news today, Bernie Sanders, he won New Hampshire primary as the race shifts to Nevada and then South Carolina. Now, what's interesting is that Joe Biden, who's the former vice president of the United States under Barack Obama, Joe Biden, it came in, fifth place? He was destroyed in New Hampshire, destroyed. And he was telling everyone how he thinks he's going to do well. Back in November, he's like, December, I think I'll do very well in New Hampshire. He did so poorly that he didn't stay there to give a speech afterwards to all the people who worked for him in New Hampshire, which I thought was really rude, because I'm sure he had people out there knocking on the doors when it was very cold outside and snowy and freezing rain and all this. They're out there, even if he didn't come in, above, fourth place, still, I find it insulting that he didn't at least stay there and say, look, we didn't do so well, but I know you guys worked hard, and I appreciate you guys. He should have done that out of appreciation for those people. Because see, what you do is when you run for a political office, you have people who volunteer for your political race, because you can't be everywhere at once, obviously. So you have a group of volunteers in every state who goes out and they canvass for you. In other words, they knock on people's doors. They say, hey, look, we're representing Joe Biden. Please vote for Joe Biden. This is what he stands for. Do you have any questions? And these people are doing this. They're volunteering. They're doing this because some get paid, but most of them are volunteers, and they go out and they bust their butts. And New Hampshire's cold and very snowy. And, for him not to stay there after it was over and to leave, I thought it was so disrespectful, because I would have at least stayed there and said, okay, I know we didn't do so great in this race, but I know you guys worked hard, and I want to really, really want you to know that I appreciate each and every one of you. And we're going to go right back on to South Carolina. But what he did is he left before the results were even given out. He left New Hampshire and went to South Carolina and started he did a speech in South Carolina yesterday instead of New Hampshire. New Hampshire was the only state that was voting yesterday. Okay, so they were the only state, right? So the next state, of course, is South Carolina, and it goes to Nevada. But he actually, because he came in 5th place, he just left. He left New Hampshire. And all those people who worked for him, all those people who knocked on the doors for him for free and standing out in the freezing rain and cold, and he didn't have the common decency to stay there to thank them publicly and then go to South Carolina. No. He jumped on his little jet and went right to South Carolina.
Now, was this during his speech?
No, he didn't. That's the thing. He did not give a speech. In New Hampshire, they had, because they're running for the Democrats to see which Democrat is going to win the nomination. So, that's what they're doing now. So they're going to state, and every state's going to vote, and only Democrats can vote because it's for a Democrat party to see who's going to go up against Trump. So New Hampshire was yesterday. So the state of New Hampshire, the voters voted, Democrats voted yesterday. He came in 5th place. That is terrible. Terrible. I mean, a horrible showing. So the next state is South Carolina. So what he did, in South Carolina is not until next week or a couple of weeks from now. So what he did is he said, well, I'm not going to give my speech here in New Hampshire. I'm going to go ahead and move on right on because I came in 5th place. I'm just going to leave and go down to South Carolina. And I'll give a presentation over there. I'll give a speech over there, and what he did is he went to South Carolina and thanked all of them for showing up and telling them how much he needs them and all this other stuff. You know what, dude? That was just disrespectful. That was just, You should have stayed. You should have stayed in New Hampshire, and you should have thanked every single one of those people. Even if you did come in 5th place, it doesn't matter. They still gave up their free time for you. And the fact that you didn't and you just left them, that really shows me the type of character. That's just despicable. It's like pouting, and now he's going, well, I'm going to go on to South Carolina. Because, and this is the truth, and CNN has said this, MSNBC, Fox News, so this is not me saying it, that South Carolina has a very heavy African-American vote population. And that's very important in order to have the African-American brown population, you got a Hispanic population, you have to have that to propel you to the White House. You have to have that vote. And so that's what he did. He went to South Carolina because he always tells people that African-Americans are always behind him and they have his back and all this other stuff. You know what? I'm sorry, after what you did to people in New Hampshire, and you didn't have the common courtesy of staying there, accepting defeat, but thanking all of your supporters, I would have been really ticked off.
I wouldn't work for him anymore.
No way.
I wouldn't even want to.
There's no way.
There's no way.
But that's what he did. But so Bernie Sanders won New Hampshire. And I just... Again, now this is just me speaking. Guys, he calls himself a Democrat socialist, and that's what he calls himself. I really do not believe Bernie Sanders can beat Donald Trump, and I just don't. And then Pete Buttigieg, he came in 2nd place in New Hampshire, and I still, and people disagree with me, and that's okay, but this is just me. I think that America, and again, this is my opinion, I don't think that America is ready right now because of the strong evangelical movement. I do not believe that right now a openly gay man who is married to another man is going to win the presidency of the United States. I don't think it's going to happen now. Well, bless you. That's Wilma sneezing. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think. I just don't think so. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I know a lot of people love Bernie. A lot of people love Pete. Yeah, I agree. Enjoy your retirement, VP, Vice President Biden. Yeah, what a nasty thing for him to do, to just walk away from New Hampshire and not even have the comment. Yeah,
and everything. Just get up and leave.
He said thank you to the people in New Hampshire, but he said thank you when he was in South Carolina, because that's the next state. It's like, dude, have some decency. You lost because people don't like you. Because when you debate, you stumble over all your words. You don't make a lot of sense when you're trying to articulate what you're wanting. And I understand he has some issues. I get that. But you're the Vice President of the United States, and he messes up a lot on his facts, on his debates. His debates are terrible. His debates are horrible. And you can't lose your debates when you're running for the President of the United States, because Donald Trump will eat your lunch. Whether you like him or not, Donald Trump is aggressive. He's abrasive. He is in your face. And Biden would get stumbled all over every word he has to say, all the facts. Donald Trump would eat his lunch and ask for seconds. Let's not forget. Now, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. But let's not forget that Donald Trump beat, 19 other or 20, I forgot how many it was, other Republicans when he ran for president in 2016. And keep in mind, these people that he ran up against are top-notch politicians. These guys are polished. The women and the men that he ran against were polished politicians. When I mean polished, I mean they were seasoned. They knew how to debate. Many of them were attorneys. Many of them were professional politicians who have served either in the Senate, Congress, or as a governor. He went up against some heavy hitters in the Republican Party, whether you like him or not, and he came out on top. So that tells you right there, whether you like Donald Trump or not, the fact that he did defeat some really heavy hitters in the Republican Party, that gives you an indicator right there that the person who's going to go up against him, whoever that might be, they better be ready for a fight. And I mean a serious fight, because Donald Trump is not going to come to play nice. He just won't. That's just not his nature.
I wonder what he would do if the media would go up to him with cameras, say, "Why did you leave? What happened?" He probably has some excuse.
Well, he said they did. They said he just wanted to get to the South Carolina and just kind of.
Okay.
I agree. Donald Trump beat some heavy, awesome candidates, but he was, but there was the mob mentality that won, not good policy. Oh, I agree with that. Listen, I don't like his policy. I'm not a Donald Trump fan. I'll be the first to admit I'm not. And now he's talking, and now and it just infuriates me. Now Donald Trump is talking about cutting Medicare and Medicaid programs. Well, no, Donald Trump, the president of the United States. Not the governor of Kentucky. No, we're talking about the president. Now that's federal. Now we're talking big stuff here. So, but I don't think it's going to pass. I really do not believe. I do not believe that the senator, the Republican Senate, and I do not believe that Congress, but certainly I don't believe they're going to pass laws to cut Medicare or Medicaid, because Mitch McConnell. Now Medicaid, I don't know. But Mitch McConnell, who is a senior Republican in Kentucky, who is the senior member of the Republican Party in the Senate, has made it abundantly clear that they're not going to touch Medicare. They're just not going to touch it. They're not going to. But Trump wants to cut all these programs because we're spending trillions of dollars in a defense budget. Now, I'm all for. I think we have to have a strong defense. We have to. We cannot live in a bubble anymore. We have to, because there are countries like North Korea, Iran, even Afghanistan. There are countries that, and even Russia or China, they are pumping a lot of money into their military and they're in science. And we better get our butt in gear when it comes to technology, artificial intelligence, because right now China is, in fact, destroying us when it comes to science and technology. I mean, they are growing leaps and bounds, especially with artificial intelligence. And that is quite scary for me. But listen to this. We spent way too long on this. We're going to switch here. For those of you who are Roman Catholics or who have any type of view on Catholicism, today there was an answer to the possibility of married priest. And this is from Yahoo News. Pope Francis opened the door to the possibility that priests could be married in special cases, a pronouncement he made at the Synod of Bishops on the Amazon region last October at the Vatican. It nearly split the Catholic world, the Roman Catholic world, of 1.3 billion followers. Now, liberal Catholics who have pinned their hopes in this pope modernizing the ancient and powerful church felt at last their time had come. But conservatives who view this pope as a direct threat to some of their most passionately hard-held beliefs, threatened a schism, going so far as to will out Pope Benedict and saying that they are pledging allegiance to him. So there was a huge issue there. So France's recent predecessors have all refused to even consider the issue of allowing married men to become priests, ruling out immediately that celibacy is not negotiable. That's why it infuriates me. On a personal level, I find it offensive, insulting. I don't like it at all when you have Roman Catholic priests who are breaking their vow of celibacy and they are having relations outside of the church. It is wrong. It is immoral. It is unethical. They have taken a vow before God. And if you can't be celibate, you can't be a Roman Catholic priest. Someone was arguing with me about that. Well, it's a promise. No, it's not a promise. You made a vow. I know what the liturgy says. It is a vow of celibacy. You vow that to the church, to God, to the archbishop. You made a vow, a covenant with God that you will remain celibate because you know that this church, the Roman Catholic Church, requires, not requests, requires celibacy. And if you stand before the people of God, the Church of God, the Roman Catholic Church in the cathedral, and you say, yes, I will be celibate, and then you're out breaking your vow of celibacy, you are not a Roman Catholic priest. You have broken your very sacred vows to the church, to the people, and to God. And it infuriates me. And it really gets my goat because I studied for the Roman Catholic priesthood for 6 years. I left the Roman Catholic priesthood because I wanted a relationship. And then when I did, I was getting death threats from Roman Catholics. Death threats. Because I was an old Catholic bishop. I then started helping the paranormal community, and devout Roman Catholics were sending me death threats. I'm the one who did the right thing. And they send me death threats to the point where I had to get the local police involved in it. They send me all. It was so bad that when I went to paranormal conferences, they had to hire extra police officers because the death threats were that severe. And it was coming from Roman Catholics. So this topic really pisses me off because I agree that if you're going to be a Roman Catholic priest, then you better be celibate. And if you are not, then you should be defrocked. You should be defrocked, which means you should be laicized. You should no longer be the Roman Catholic priest because celibacy is not an issue. Now, I personally, that's why I joined the Old Catholics, because I believe priests should be allowed to be married. And I was not going to be a hypocrite and have a relationship on the side and be a Roman Catholic priest, because that would be spitting in the face of God. So the Pope said that all of his predecessors before Pope Francis said, no, celibacy is not negotiable. You have to be celibate. So now the question is what did he approve? What did he say? Well, Francis' Apostolic Exhortation, basically known as Beloved Amazon, it was released today in Rome by the Holy See Press Office and followed up several syntheses and canned interviews in multiple languages so that no one could misinterpret. And the document is flowery and poetic, focused on the environmental impact of greed and globalization. It doesn't even specifically mention the request by Amazon church leaders to ordain local deacons who understand the language and culture, but rather urges his bishop in Latin America to be more generous, encouraging those who display a missionary vocation to choose the Amazon region. He also calls the idea of facilitating a greater presence to ordained ministers narrow in scope, and instead says that lay people should be more involved. So in basically what he said today is regarding married priest, no. That is what Francis said, Pope Francis said. They will not entertain married priest. So there are in the Roman Catholic Church right now, there are Episcopalians who have left Episcopalians and who have joined the Roman Catholic Church who are married. And so now this is an issue. This is a very, very serious issue here. So who knows what's going to happen? But Pope Francis said today, no married clergy.
On the Roman Catholic or that?
With the Roman, strictly with the Roman Catholic Church, not with us. Because he's with
no.
He said because he's the Roman, he's the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, and so in this case, he basically closed the door. He said no, and that's just again and there was a question about women being ordained as deacons. So for those who knew ordained married men was a long shot, there was a still glimmer of hope that the Pope might compromise and instead allow women to be ordained as deacons, because that was also brought up, who are essentially lighter versions of priests who can do everything except for perform, obviously, some of the sacraments. This is the Yahoo News, by the way. But here, too, Francis said no. Somehow justifying that giving women more power would somehow compromise the power they supposedly have by not being party of the clergy. Throughout his papacy, Francis has continued to tell nuns and devout Catholic women that by giving them more power in the church hierarchy, he would put them in direct competition with male clergy, implying they would never win that battle. So basically, he just said, no, we're not going to have married priests, and no, we're not going to have women to be ordained to the diaconate.
Whoa.
So
you said that today?
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's not a huge, to me, that's not a huge, like, oh my gosh, because the Roman Catholic Church, has been very clear about that. Now, I can't say has always been clear because, there have been many, many years ago, there were married clergy members of the Roman Catholic Church. Even the popes had concubines.
What about nuns? Are they allowed to marry?
No.
Nuns either.
No, they've taken the vow of celibacy. But it's interesting, and what I find very offensive, because even in Vatican II, Vatican II happened, for those of you way back in the 70s, and I really I don't like what they did to the sisters, because I've always had a huge heart for nuns, because they were always very kind to me. And Vatican II really demoralized the sisters. It really is terrible, because they basically lowered the sisters to that of laity. And not only that, but then they say, okay, now you can wear, clothing that you wish to wear. If you want to wear normal clothes, you don't have to wear the habit anymore. And for me, I just, I miss seeing nuns in habits. I don't really, I don't know. I'm not a big fan at all of seeing, nuns without their habits. But that's just me. That's me. Wilma, what do you think about this? A school district scraps traditional A through F grading system for kinder, gentler model. So this is in the College Fix. So in Madison, Wisconsin, and this is what they said. As a kid, I always kicked into full sub mode on the days I received my report card. In order to keep my report card hidden, I suddenly engaged in secret operations that would be the envy of the World War II era spy. So did Wilma. Hidden secret documents from the Nazis would have been child's play compared to hiding my grades from my parents. I wonder what that sounds like. So in the
Why
old
are you asking me that for?
In the old days, it was easy for my parents to see if I had an F next to my name. By the way, as he tries to say, legend has it century ago, E was dropped as a grade, allegedly because some schools thought it might be confused with excellent. But anyway, yet after 100+ years of the standard A through F grading system, many modern schools have deemed it to be old stuff. Some districts have moved to their own proprietary grade scales in order to alleviate the shame of a student may feel when earning a D or an F. So get this. So this person says, this week I received my second grade daughter's report card. And this reporter said, from Madison Metropolitan School District, on which she was given a grade of EX, M, D, V, or E. So, EX stands for exceeding. Students consistently exceeds grade level expectations for the end of the year. The M, if you get an M, that means meeting. Student consistently meets grade level expectations for the end of the year. If you get a DV, not a D, no, a DV, that means developing. Students is developing understanding and is approaching grade level expectations for the end of the year. And if you get an E, not an F, but an E, that stands for emerging. Students began to show initial understanding of grade level expectations for the end of the year. What do you think about that, Wilma? Hello? Well, don't tell me her phone died. Sometimes her phone dies. Yep, her phone died. I knew it. I don't know why her phone dies. She'll be calling here back in a second. But her phone just dies all of a sudden. And the batteries are fine. So I don't know. I think it's some ET or some ghost thing going on over there, but hopefully she'll call back. But that's what they're doing now. What do you think about that, guys, in the chat room? What do you take away the A through F grading system, make it gone, and then you put the EX, M, DV, or E. I mean, obviously EX is the A. That's exceeding. M is, that's her. Oh, shoot, I just accidentally hung up the phone. She tried calling back, and instead of answering, I pushed the wrong button, so I get an E. That's what I get. I get an E. I need to do it. That's it. Yep, that's an E. That's an E. Well, let me try to put a green button. All right there, Wilma. Hello.
Sorry, my phone dies.
I tell you.
Awful sound with my telephone.
Yeah, I was explaining that.
So they're not going to make D's and F's no more, right?
Well, this one, not all of them, but this one school district is not. They're going to remove the A through F and put EX, M, DV, or E. So you don't get an F.
Why didn't they do that when my years were going?
So
it's been more easier.
Are you saying you got?
Seriously?
Did you get a lot of E's? Why don't you tell everybody? Oh, because I love this story.
I don't want to know about my history.
Oh, yes, they do.
No.
I think it's great.
Want to know?
I think it's great. I think it's I think it's the funniest darn thing in the world.
Okay. As I was going to school, I didn't get D's and F's.
Okay.
I got fine and dandies. My mom asked me one day, said, how'd you do on your report card? And I said, oh, I got fine and dandies. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, it wasn't fine and dandy to her, but that's what I always called the fine and dandies, you know. And every time on my report card, I never could figure this out, but it always had had less talking and more studying. Every time it always had less talking. I don't understand that, but you know how school is.
Well, I do. So let me ask you, when you had those report cards, what did you do with those report cards that had those fine and dandies?
I had to because see, they had to sign them.
Oh.
They had my parents had to sign those report cards, and I take them back.
Okay.
Yeah, they knew about those.
So what?
Not all of them, but they knew about those.
No, wait, not all of them. What do you mean?
Well, some of them went in the garbage accidentally. I mean, I just wadded up and played basketball. I mean, okay. You're probably thinking, what is she talking about? Okay.
Oh, boy.
The teacher wanted us to draw a map of the United States and put the states and the capitals, right?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And I thought, oh, wow, this is going to be easy homework. Well, the next day, she looked at the paper. I can still see that red marker, by the way. She put a great big F and circled it.
Yeah.
I want you to circle it, but she circled it.
Right.
How did she know I wasn't a great artist? I mean, actually, I held the book up and to a window and traced it. And then on the other side, I traced that side. Do you realize how hard that was to hold that book up trying to trace that map? That wasn't easy. That was hard work.
That was hard work, wasn't it?
She looked at that, immediately she put that F, great big circle around it, and I'm like, I could have been a great artist. I mean, you know, I had the states right. I had the capitals right. And I thought, oh, you know, that's hard work. So I wadded the paper up, you know, when the bell rung, and I just thought, let's play basketball. So in the garbage it went. So my mom didn't get that.
That
she didn't
is
get that.
Bad.
And
boy.
There's a couple letters that my parents didn't get to see. Back then, growing up, we had a coal stove. You know, it kept you warm, put in the cold, you know. It was really warm.
Oh.
And so after school, there's sometimes I'm like, you know, we need to get this far a little warmer, which it was warm.
Yeah.
So teachers somehow would write letters. See, back then we didn't have a telephone. So she would write letters. Well, I didn't know what was in that letter. So it was nice and warm far that day, you know?
Wilma. Bad.
Yeah.
Bad. I know. Bad.
I wasn't mean. I just didn't, you know, well, my parents didn't know that whatever I was doing wrong, you know.
Well, listen to this one.
It was only like a couple letters. It wasn't every time.
Listen to this story, everybody. Now we know about Wilma creeping around in her little letters.
I was just doing my homework. That was hard work, holding that book up.
Well, listen
But I advise, if any children are listening right now, I advise just go ahead and try to draw it yourself because, you know, if you trace it, somehow magically they're going to know. I don't know how. I mean, we could be a great artist, you know?
Are you ready for this next thing here? Listen to this.
Yes,
listen.
yes.
Okay,
Go
listen.
ahead.
Listen. Oh, thanks. Listen to this one, everybody. And if you think that's going to get Wilma's goat, wait till you listen to this story. In California, and this is happening now, and Wilma can't hear it, but it's scary music being played in the background right now.
Oh, boy.
Drivers received quite the scare on Wednesday when a clown holding a bloody machete was seen on a California highway. The Monterey County Sheriff's Office posted about the sighting on Facebook. The post read, in part, "It can be fun to dress up as a clown, right? However, if you do, please don't stand on the side of the highway 101 at San Juan Road holding a machete." Larry Tovey from Gilroy did this today and startled a few people who called 911. The 61-year-old man was holding out his thumb as if he was trying to hitch a ride while holding the machete coated in fake blood in his other hand. Two deputies contacted Larry with their guns drawn and eventually figured out what he was up to. The man was arrested, questioned, and was released. The sheriff said he didn't actually threaten anybody. He just had a sick sense of humor. What do you think, Miss Wilma?
Sick. I wish they would leave the clowns alone, because I have a clown outfit, the hair and everything.
Yeah.
I do magic for the children, and I love, when I was growing up, I loved the circus, because clowns, animals. I love circuses. And I didn't know that. One night, I was working in Vacation Bible School, and I went as, Giggles. That's my name, Giggles. And there's a couple little kids that scared of me, and I couldn't figure out why. So I was asking the other teacher who was helping me, and I was like, what's going on? Why are they scared of me? And she said, have you seen the movie It? I'm like, no. I have never even heard of this movie, but she was telling me a little bit about it. So I told the children, I was like, how many saw this movie? And of course they raised their hand. I'm like, I'm not a bad clown. This really hurt me. So there's this one little girl, I took her aside, she's 8 years old. And I said, hey, sweetheart, I'm going to tell you who I am. I'm Wilma. And she's like, okay. Well, she hugged me, but I could tell she's still a little nervous. So the next night that I went back for Vacation Bible School, she came up to me, and she said, Wilma, and I said, yes, sweetheart. She said, was that you yesterday? I said, yes, sweetheart, it was. And that broke my heart, because I love clowns, and it's getting out of hand. That they're having these games as zombies or clowns, and they're mean. I don't like that. Clowns are happy. They're funny. What happened to the good old days? I'm like, come on. Let the children stay little for a long, because they grow up so fast. And that's what gets me. I want to keep children little as long as you can, because it goes too fast now. But as a clown, getting out there doing all this stuff, see, that's what I'm talking about. They're hurting other clowns. And people are, even adults, are even getting scared of clowns now.
So you don't like this idea that
No, I do not. I have never seen. I don't like scary movies anyway. I haven't. Some of the stars, I don't like them. They scare me. But far as clowns goes, this is sick. This has got to stop. Do you want to dress up? Fine, but not as a clown. There's other scary stuff out there. Don't destroy them. We ought to write in somewhere and say, hey, look, leave the clowns alone. Because the children are growing up today, they're going to be scared of clowns. They're not going to really get to know how clowns are funny. They're not going to think, oh, well, why are you funny? But it's sad and it's sick what they're doing to them.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, for those of you who are big for entertainment news, for those of you who are big fans of Mama June, remember Mama June? And I tell you what, that her little baby or child now, she's 13, 14 years old now. But get this, I don't understand this. Mama June, this is from TMZ. Mama June's family crisis is not her cash cow now. We've learned that she won't be lining her pockets with money from a new reality show bearing her name. Family sources tell TMZ the troubled reality star won't see a dime from WE TV's upcoming show Mama June from Not to Hot Family Crisis because she's not an active participant. The family's actually happy about it. They're afraid of what Mama might do with the dough. The show airs in March, and sources say it's going to focus on Honey Boo Boo, Pumpkin, and the rest of the family as they deal with the fallout from Mama's alleged drug addiction. This is not good. Mama, she's a central Shannon. June Shannon is her name. She is a central figure of the story, but we're told she's not sitting down for interviews in front of WE TV cameras, so there's no paycheck. So while June Shannon Instagram page pimped the show promo, we're told it was actually posted by her manager. Again, June's not actively involved. Instead, June's appearances will mostly include clips from her court dates with bad boyfriend Gino and the family's attempt to get her some help. As we reported, June Shannon has been pretty desperate for cash since last year's arrest. She was arrested for crack cocaine possession. She sold her house. Wow, for much less than its worth in cash transaction. I did not know that. Got booted from a hotel over an unpaid $2,000 bill and recently pawned a diamond ring. Our sources tell us that June Shannon's family hopes she sees the show and realizes how much her loved ones are hurting, and they want her to get better. If not for herself, then at least for them. What a sad story that is. What a really sad story that is. I mean, for those of you who don't know, well, I don't know, but, Honey Boo Boo was a little girl at one time. She did the beauty pageants, and June Shannon was very heavy and very overweight, and, she kind of pushed her daughter to do these pageants. And Honey Boo Boo she had that personality, and then they became relatively famous by their show. And so, Honey Boo Boo show. And so, unfortunately, then June Shannon, who was the mom, she got involved with this guy named Gino. And June Shannon then had the gastric sleeve surgery. And she lost a lot of weight, and she was looking great. But her relationship with Gino was very, very unhealthy. And allegedly, they began, the family says they began doing drugs and taking cocaine and all that stuff. And now that she's been arrested for allegedly having cocaine, seems like to me, according to TMZ, she's now sold her house, which she had a pretty nice house that apparently she paid cash for because of the success of the show. She was getting paid, I think, $25,000 per episode. And she was doing, 10, 12 episodes a season. So that she was making some pretty decent money. And, of course, with everything else that she does with appearances and things like this. But apparently, she has just, because of this alleged cocaine situation, and even her family saying that it's the problem is drugs, she's lost it all. It's so sad. That's heartbreaking,
I watched Honey Boo Boo one time, and I didn't get to finish it because it hurt me so bad to let that little thing to talk to her parents. I know they's making money for it, but to talk to her parents like that, and she just, I don't know, it made me so upset, not with Honey Boo Boo, but her mom, the producers. I'm like, you don't take a child and twist their little minds like that and make them talk mean, like, oh, I'm the boss. They're going to do what I tell them to do. No, you're not the boss. The parents are. You don't talk to your parents like that. But the reason why they let her do it, because that was the show. Show or no show, my child would not have done that. Because now she's like, oh, I know it all now. And I'm like, don't let her don't let her be that way. She grew up kind of mean to other, like in that one pageant. I did watch a little bit of that. And she's like, put her hand on her hip. She's, I'm going to beat her. I'm like, no, you don't do that. You don't want to be mean. Don't, put your hand on your hip like I'm going to beat her. You want to, you want to talk to them, but the way they did her, it was sick. I mean, money or no money. I know it. Like you said, they made a lot of money off of that. But now, what has it done to Honey Boo Boo? Her mind.
That's true.
In her mind, she's like, okay, I see my mom, drugs now, but she, it's sick, and it's really sad to let a child to make a show like that.
Yeah.
They put the money before they did the child. That was all it was to it. Like, oh, we'll keep acting this way, and we're going to get rich. You can have anything you want. No, don't have to be rich. You want to love that child. I just actually wonder if she's really, truly loved by her just being herself. No, they wanted her to be that character. That was her character. My friend called me up, and she's like, oh, you going to watch Honey Boo Boo? I'm like, no. It breaks my heart and hurts me to see how she talks to her parents and her family, and she's up there dressing like, oh, I'm the greatest and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, what have they done to you?
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
It
is sad.
It is. It's sad and sick.
Well, I tell you what.
Put money for your children.
Well, sad and sick. Here's another interesting story, and I guess it's entertainment news, and I'm not really for sure that I like. I don't know about this, but Kim Kardashian West, yes, that the wife of Kanye. So Kim Kardashian West, well, has said that she has no interest in running for office, but if she changes her mind, there's one guy she would definitely ask to join her campaign, and that is Shark Tank Daymond John. That's the owner of FUBU. So Daymond John's also pretty confident Kim can become president in 8 years or so, and gave us a laundry list of reasons to support her argument Monday night outside the Avery. Daymond tells TMZ that she's already has major notches on her belt that look good to voters, helping free imprisoned grandmother Alice Marie Johnson and continuing to pursue education. On top of that, Kim's own family represents the LGBTQ mixed relationships and female empowerment, and she lives a clean and healthy lifestyle. Most importantly, though, John points out how much people like and trust Kardashian's sister and care about what she has to say, as evidence as her massive social media following. Daymond suggests her following might be hundreds of millions more by the time 2028 rolls around, and that kind of power at one fingertip is immeasurable. And finally, he says there's precedent for public figures making it all the way to the White House, including the current one, who she and Kanye already have a connection with. So it's more than possible Kim is next. By the way, Daymond is working with Kardashians is nothing new either. He was responsible for product integration during the first few seasons of Family's reality show. I'm getting a little worried about all these entertainers who have really no experience when it comes to world events, political events. I'm not saying that everyone has to be an attorney or political science major, but it is concerning to me that so many of these people who are entertainers and who live a very pampered life, many times from birth, just they don't really see the reality and they don't understand what they're getting into. Look at what we have in office now. And we have a person who is in office, and I have not really publicly spoken against Trump. I don't like him. I think he's a terrible president. And the reason as I say he's a terrible president is because of the things that he's done, making fun of the disabled reporter, talking about grabbing women in their private area whenever he wants. Talking about how his daughter looked beautiful and how, he would date her and all this other stuff on the Howard Stern show. And I can go on and on and on. And then, and publicly attacking political, people who have been in politics all their lives, ambassadors all their lives, who have stellar reputation, and then publicly attacking them and them being scared for their lives because he doesn't like them for whatever reason. I just think that these entertainers are entertaining. That's in their mind. That's in there. That is their DNA. They are to entertain. And I think we've had, I don't know, maybe we've had enough. In my opinion, I think we've had enough of entertainers for politicians. I just, the experiment was fun for some, but I think that enough is enough. We have some serious problems in this world. We have some really serious problems. We don't need a carnival barker at the White House screaming, yelling, hooping, and hollering, and then trying to also now tell the Supreme Court that LGBT people are not, the lesbian, the gay and lesbian workers are not protected under the civil rights law, meaning that we can, the people who are gay and lesbian can now be fired for their sexual orientation. You know, enough is enough. We have to deal with China. We have to deal with North Korea and Russia. Russia is really starting to become problems, and we're not putting them in check. And we really need to have somebody in office who is intelligent, who is articulate, who knows world events and world leaders. Because if we don't, we're going to find ourselves in a very serious, precarious situation. And as a matter of fact, we're finding ourselves in a situation now. Because I know this is getting serious, because sometimes in this conversation it is serious, but everyone needs to know that this is very serious. But it's not. Nothing is being done about it. As a matter of fact, in Time magazine, a strange Russian spacecraft is shadowing a United States spy satellite. A general recently said. So a pair of Russian satellites are tailing a multi-billion dollar U.S. spy satellite hundreds of miles above the Earth's surface. Atop a U.S. military commander tells Time, underscoring a growing threat to America's dominance in space-based espionage and potentially costly new chapter in Washington's decades-long competition with Moscow. General John Raymond, commander of the newly minted U.S. Space Force, says the Russian spacecraft began maneuvering towards the American satellite shortly after being launched into orbit in November, at times creeping within 100 miles. Understand that. So it is getting very close for 100 miles. And he says, we view this as behavior as unusual and disturbing, Raymond says. It has the potential to create a dangerous situation in space. Yes, it does. Raymond says the U.S. government has expressed concern to Moscow through diplomatic channels. The confrontation marks the first time the U.S. military has publicly identified a direct threat to a specific American satellite by an adversary. The incident parallels Russia's terrestrial encounters with the U.S. and its allies, includes close calls between soldiers, fighter jets, warships, even warships. Russia is now, they are literally pushing us to the point of a brink of war by having fighter jets fly literally right over our ships, and even their warships where they will not. We have the right of way. I've seen videos in the oceans where we have the right of way, and the Russia ships speed up just to try to threaten a collision. So, and this is Russia. So this is serious stuff. This is not a joke. This is not funny. This is not, isn't that cute? The orange faced person in the White House. This is serious stuff. And now we have North Korea, who, by the way, is very quiet. And so if you think that North Korea is quiet and being quiet and not doing anything, then you're fooling yourself. Because I guarantee you that North Korea now secretly and never even intended to give up their nuclear weapons. Never. They never intended to give up their... Anybody who
they got them hidden somewhere.
The nuclear weapons are right in North Korea. The North Koreans wanted to meet Donald Trump, and they did. They met, last year? And he met, and he got all kinds of pictures in North Korea. All that did is give North Korea legitimacy. That's all it did. North Korea never had intentions on giving up their nuclear weapons. Because they know what happened to Libya, to Gaddafi. So they're not stupid. They're not going to give up their nuclear weapons. And I'm telling you, they're being quiet for a reason. And just mark my words. You will hear something from North Korea this year and it will let us know exactly what they have been doing. So don't be surprised if this year you hear something from North Korea, another threat, another whatever it might be, or another launch. It's going to happen. But we need somebody. We need somebody who is going to be dealing with this and dealing with it seriously, because it's a problem. It is a very serious problem. Well, tomorrow we are going to have, of course, our show Thursday, and Thursday shows are kind of, it's not so heavy. It's more so a lot on the entertainment side. And then, of course, Friday, Paranormal Fridays, we have Willie Windwalker Gibson. This Friday, we'll be interviewing him and talking to him. So I'm really excited about bringing on Willie. And of course, tomorrow, hopefully, Miss Wilma, if you want to join us, you're more than welcome.
Okay.
And
I would love that.
And so we'll have some entertainment news and some other crazy news. So tomorrow, Thursday, it's kind of winding down. It won't be
entertainment from me too.
The show is almost over, and I had to pour another drink already. All right, my friends. Remember, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hope everyone has a great night. God bless.
The Sacred Division is proudly sponsored by the United States Old Catholic Church, an all-inclusive Catholic sacramental faith community. For more information, check us out on the web at www.usocc.org. The United States Old Catholic Church, focusing on diversity.